All right, this is the week of June 8th to 12th, 2020. And this is the work for Monday through Friday, and it has reading. The story to be read is The Frozen Ocean. So you're going to read the story and then you answer the question. And for language arts, you're going to write a spelling word from the word You're going to write a spelling word from the box below to complete each sentence. And for math, you're going to complete the equivalent ratios. All right, here's the story for reading. So the title of the story is The Frozen Ocean. Now I see the picture of a globe. I see Iceland, and another Iceland with an animal in this picture, and also another animal in that picture. Now when I read, I'm going to highlight the main points or ideas that will be able to let us answer the questions. Now listen. Covering an area of about 5,427,000 square miles, the Arctic Ocean is about the size of Russia, and yet the smallest and shallowest of the world's five major oceanic divisions. Now, it gave us so many points there. So it's covering 5,427,000 square miles and is about the size of Russia. And yes, the smallest is the smallest and shallowest of the world's five major oceanic divisions. So those are salient points right there. Now the next one. It's also one of the least explored. The word least explored means nobody likes to go there. Maybe because it's cold or there is no means of survival there. So people hardly want to go over there. So the exploration right there is very low. So it's also one of the least explored, primarily because ice partly covers it throughout the year. So that is the reason why it is least explored. So I'm going to underline the word least explored, and it is because ice partly covers it throughout the year. So all around the year, you're going to see ice. Now, some of you like cold, some of you don't. I do not like to stay in the cold. So throughout the year, it's going to be very cold. There is nowhere warm around that area. Now, it is surrounded by the land masses of Eurasia, North America, Greenland, and several islands. So let's say this is the frozen ocean. It is surrounded by, surrounded by North America, Greenland, and several islands. So some islands are right here. Okay, so these named places are called Eurasia. So it's a combination of two continents, which is Europe and Asia right here. Okay, so let's say this is the frozen ocean. Eurasia is all around the frozen ocean. Okay, now it's surrounded by land masses of Eurasia, North America, Greenland, and several islands, while an underwater ridge divides it into two basins, which are further subdivided by ridges. So let's say this is the frozen area, the frozen ocean. It is divided into two underneath because it says while an underwater ridge divides it into two basins. So this is the two basins, and then they are further subdivided by ridges. Now underneath again is divided into four parts. Okay. Now the Arctic Ocean surface temperature and salinity that varies seasonally. So there are so many things that are going on in the Arctic Ocean. Okay, due to the surface temperature and the salinity. Okay, salinity means I think how salty the water is. Okay, now salt lowers the freezing temperature of seawater to -2 degrees. So if there's too much salt in the water, it's going to lower it. Okay, it's going to lower the way it's being cold. So salt lowers the freezing temperature of seawater to -2 degrees. Okay, despite this, when the atmosphere temperature drops in the Arctic, a thick layer of seawater begins to freeze. So despite this, the seawater still freezes. Okay. Now, what makes the ocean's ecology so intriguing is the amount of hidden life within. So there is a hidden life right there. So that means some things are actually living there. Okay. Not just in its depths, but dispersed across every level of the water column. One of the most important aspects of this rich biodiversity is the presence of microalgae called phytoplankton. Okay, so there is an algae called this word. Okay, it forms an essential component of the food chain. So it's part of the food chain. This is more of science, okay? But this is for you to understand how the frozen ocean is. So these single-celled plants not only provide nourishment to many marine animals, but also help to regulate the amount of tiny ice needles start to form. Okay, so there are so many things this microalgae does. Okay, now the first thing it does is to provide nourishment. Okay, remember it is a food chain. It provides food to many marine animals. Okay, marine animals are animals that stay in water. Okay, so apart from providing nourishment, it also helps to regulate. It helps to regulate the amount of tiny ice needles start to form. Okay. Now when you see ice, there's a sharp thin layer. So that is what is called tiny ice needles. Okay. So it creates a salt-free solution called frill. So the salt-free solution it produces is called a frill ice. Okay, that is the word. Now, as the temperature continues to fall, the frill ice thickens and traps pockets of salty waters in its layers. So when the temperature falls, okay, this frill ice gets thick and traps pockets of salty water in its layers. Okay, those are salient points for you to answer that question. Now, in the summer, the ice melts and the surface cover can be reduced to half of what it was. Now, there's a little bit of sunlight during summer. So it helps during the summer because during summer, the ice melts. Remember, during summer is always hot. Okay, So ice melts and the surface cover can be reduced to half of what it was. Thrives during this time, but the sun is out day and night, but struggles to survive in the dark days of winter. Climate change is blamed for the increasing loss of sea ice throughout the Arctic Ocean, as well as the melting of the Greenland ice sheet. Okay, now let's answer each question. It says, how much area does the Arctic Ocean cover? Now remember from this question, it says it's covering an area of about 5,427,000 square miles. Number 2, why the Arctic Ocean is the least explored? Now remember I said it is explored because, let's see, it is also one of the least explored primarily because ice partly covers it throughout the year. So it's always icy and nobody wants to go to such places. Now, number 3, what is the Arctic Ocean surface temperature? Remember, it says the salt lowers the freezing temperature of seawater to -2 degrees centigrade. Number 4, what is the most important aspect of this biodiversity? Okay, so I'm going to read from here. One of the most important aspects of its rich biodiversity is the presence of microalgae called phytoplankton, which form an essential component of the food chain. Remember I said that helps the survival of the marine animals. Okay, now what is the frail ice? All right, so I'm going to start from here. The frail ice thickens and traps pockets of salty water in the layers. And the last one, what happens in summer in the Arctic Ocean? Now from here it says in the summer the ice melts and the surface cover can be reduced to half of what it was. All right, for your language arts, you're going to do some filling the blanks. I'm going to write a spelling word from the box to complete each sentence. And I'm going to go over the sentences and I'll try to model the spelling words. Now, number 1, the blank stopped working. What can stop working? Is it the escape, the dangerous, the immediately, the favorite, the details, the model, the arrange, the identity, the service, or increase? Now, from what I just read, I think the model can stop walking. Okay, a model car can stop walking. Number 2, that is my blank team. Now, what kind of team will that person like? Will it be the escape team, the dangerous team, the immediately team, the favorite team, the details team, the arrange team, the identity team, the service team, or the increase team? Now, I think the answer should be favorite. All right, now you read the sentences and you see which one fits into the blank. All right, for your maths this week, it says equivalent ratios. Now, these are ratios that goes with the beginning number and the next number. So, for next time, when you see this type of question, it says 1. We are going to deal with the first numbers here. So I'm going to underline the first numbers here. and tell you what to write. So I have 1. After 1, what's going to come after 1? 2. After 2, we have 3. After 4, then we have 4. We have 5. And what comes after 5 is 6. Now, what do you notice about this next number, 7, and this? I think it's counting by sevens. So I'm going to go from 7, 14, still counting by 7. Now, if you don't know what comes next, all you need to do is to add 7 to the next number. So 7 plus 7 will give you 14. 14 plus 7 will give you 21. 21 plus 20. 21 plus 7 is going to give you 28. 28 plus another 7 is going to give you 35. And 35 plus another 7 is going to give you 42. So here is counting by sevens. Okay, now remember I said when you see the next one, you're going to write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now let me see. So I have 2, then I have 4. Now what does that tell me? That means it's counting by 2s. Okay, so you fill in the blank with adding 2s or multiples of 2. Now the next one, remember to put your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 all the way, and right here the answer is here. A is counting by 3s. Okay, right here is also counting by 2s. Okay, right here is counting by 8. Right here is counting by 5. Right here is counting by 9s. Right here is still counting by 2s. Right here is counting by 2s, and the last one is counting by 3s. Okay, so that is all you need to do for this part. If you have any questions and concerns, you can call me.